Hi, I'm Francois from Production Music Live today with producer notes, and we're taking a look at the style of &Me Black Coffee Rapture. We have a remake of this reference track here with Ableton household stock elements and instruments and effects, plus Serum. We are trying to sort of reverse engineer the style of the track using different chords, different melodies, different source sounds, sort of sourcing that together to learn the thinking behind the style, learn how you can set it up, and then apply these techniques to your own music. And we have a fully arranged track lasting more than 7 minutes. It has a very slow-paced arrangement. We're starting with an intro to mix it into the track that was playing before. And this track is a bit like meditation. It moves very slowly. We then bring in the pianos after like 30 seconds. Basically, all filters in this arrangement look like this. They move up super slowly, move down super slowly, and again, it's taking you into some meditative trance-like state of mind. You know, some shakers coming in, and then we have the so-called drop. Where our filters are up for the first time in this track, and then we are winding that down towards 2.5 minutes. And then slowly but steadily we're entering the break where everything gets very quiet. They're not using any vocals in the original of this track. And then towards 4 minutes it builds back up, and it's pretty crazy. It's quite calm, but it's also nostalgic and euphoric at the same time. We have a different chord progression here, but it still captures that quite nicely. Yeah, we get a bit of variation in the pianos here with this melody piano on top. And also with these quick notes here towards the end of the piano pattern. And then it winds down and moves into the outro. Now, it does look like a simple track, but there's still a lot to learn from it because it has a very cool low end and general warmness to these sounds. If we take a look at the groups, we have this drum group. And there's a very interesting video on the YouTube channel Telecom Beats where &Me and Rampa from Keinemusik are showing their studio setup and how they work. You can also take a look at their gear that they're using. For example, quite interesting, they're using the RC20 a lot. They're using a VST for the drums called Microtonic. And they're using the Juno. I think for the pianos, somebody from the network said they are using Piano V2 from Arturia, and a bunch of other things. Feel free to check that out. We are using Ableton stock effects and instruments plus PML samples here to reverse engineer these elements, and we are taking a few more tracks to do so to really get it right. It's going to be interesting to see in a second. Just quickly showing the bass group. Probably not what you expected. We have a sub bass and a donk pluck type thing on top, so the toms do a lot of the heavy lifting in the bass frequencies, and then on top of that we have the piano groups. Pianos and Atmos basically, and then on top of that some of these mono lead plucks that are coming in over time. And a noise effect here. Using Serum as a source, and this is a send effect Docker. We have this reverb on send effect 1 with a decay time of 5 seconds, and we have this echo or delay here on the second one, and we are not sending them directly into the master, we are sending them into this and ducking both effects efficiently with this sidechain. And on the master we have compressor, saturator, and these two limiters. Not much more going on here. So before we dive in, who's and me is the co-founder of the label Keinemusik that was established in 2009 together with Rampa, Adam Port, and Reznik. He is born in Ghana. He grew up, I think, in Hamburg, and they're now hanging out in Berlin most of the time if they're not touring. And Black Coffee from South Africa studied jazz and has this unique blend of house music with R&B and jazz elements that made him sort of very famous over the years. Very unique sound as well. So let's get started. We are taking a look at the drums, and I'm starting with the kick here in the beginning. Two elements. In order to get that low end right, we sort of required Serum for the body of the kick to have a good setup here with a sine wave, and then shaping that sine wave. The level is controlled by LFO1 here. So we can really shape how much we want, how long we want it, and what we want it to do. And LFO2 is controlling the pitch here. So in the matrix you can see the setup, the coarse pitch controlled by this LFO shape. LFO1 the volume, and then envelope 2 is controlling the distortion amount. Quickly opening up and closing again just for the initial part of the sound, and decay time is 1 second here, release time is 75 milliseconds, but we are basically following this shape for our envelope of the source. And then this utility is just here for automation purposes over time in the arrangement, and we have this click. It's a kick from the Percussive Afro House kit. It's also part of the PML Everything bundle. By the way, this educational project file is also part of the start to finish Afro House Academy in the project files folder. It's called Journey here. And we also have sample packs in there with a full-blown vocal pack, essential drums, full library, indigenous instruments, tom loops, and so on. Everything you need to produce professional Afro House tracks. If we combine this short top element with the kick body, and we're rolling off low end on this one and high end, we just want that top part. We get this clean 808 type sounding kick, and we are good to go. We have the right foundation for our low end, quickly cleaning it up here and compressing it. Okay, so kicks with everything else. So the next important elements are these toms here. Let's take a look at this one, for example. This one is just here for the zap. That's our pattern. If we zoom in quickly. We're just using the top information of this kick sound here, super short kick sample, and then a bit of processing, a bit of ping pong delay on top of it, and then we are rolling off the frequencies that we don't want to use. And again, we are sort of reverse engineering something here. They probably didn't do it that way. They just had the sound that sort of combines all these elements at the fingertips, but it's also still interesting from a sound design perspective to see how you can build up and layer such sounds. Second one here. Tom sound from the Afro House kit. If I'm quickly taking a look at the Everything Bundle Afro House Sound Pack Deeper Love, that's the one. It has samples and also project files in there with fully arranged tracks, these three, and a nice sample pack section as well, where we are getting this one from. Shortening it, cleaning it up, combining it with the top one. Okay, and below that we have this percussion. Conga type sound. Widening it a bit. And then taking off the frequencies we don't want to use. And also important to notice is, since the beginning we have this sub bass going here. And it's playing G sharp or A flat in that case. And it's playing that throughout the track. What is it doing? What's the source of this sound? The source is a sine wave. 2 octaves down. And this thing is basically never going away. This is just our ongoing sub in this track. And at some point, this bass pluck or donk thing here will come in. Which is Genji. It's bit of FM going on here. We're taking this information from oscillator B and inserting this into oscillator 1. And it has a bit of dimension expansion, some distortion, a phaser, and so on. I think this one is also from the Afro House Sound Pack here from the Serum presets. So that's the bass setup almost. And one element is missing. That's this deeper tom sound here. Also playing A flat and having some delay on top of the sound here as well. And we're just playing 2 sine waves. This one is widened with 2 voices here. We are an octave higher than the sub bass. And we're playing very short envelopes with a decay time of 120 milliseconds. So this is quite the unusual low end so far. But now we have this carpet below everything sitting there, and we can throw our pianos on top, and we can also throw these late percussion tambourine type elements in here now, where we have this one. And when you're a producer and you're too lazy to look for the right sound, you can also layer a bunch of sounds together and just quickly build that tambourine or shaker that you need. It works particularly well with shakers because they have waveforms that allow for these types of setups here, but it's kind of still funny to see how that I need a type tambourine, so I'm quickly going to just build one. And the same with this sound. out of other perk elements and shakers put together. Now you can render that out and you have this exact sound. Before we go further into the instruments, let's take a look at the other drum elements that are coming in later. We have this shaker playing the first 16th notes always. And we're just using this tail part here. We don't want it too long. And then we're adding later shaker loops. Also from the Percussive Afro House Pack. Tim Engelhardt put that one together, by the way. We have another shaker loop here. And a hi-hat loop from the Afro House Sound Pack. So from this one. Again, the entire thing can be found here in the project files in the Afro House Start to Finish Academy. This one was added later because it fits nicely in there as well. And in the main drop part, we have this off hi-hat. That one has interesting room, which is right there in the sample. On top of that, this tambourine loop. It's actually one from Jonas Saalbach. And ride noise. Using the cymbal loop noise section in Serum. Sometimes you can shape them as you want quicker in Serum. And then we are going into the toms here. So these are our drum elements for the most part. We then have some crashes down here. And a reversed crash sound. Also built quickly in Serum to get that belly type sound. So let's play the overall loop here in the drop. And the more chill loop in the beginning. So that's our drum section. I'm moving over to the instrument section now. And the first one we are looking at is the grand piano, Ableton grand piano. Quickly soloing this one. Auto filter on top. Quickly take a look, just some mid-side EQing going on here, and then we took out these resonance frequencies. Let's quickly listen in. That's what we took out, and basically high cut here. I mean, this is done basically to make it sound more like the piano they might have been using, probably Arturia piano version 2. And then we have this velocity element here, the MIDI effect, that makes it more natural whenever we activate this one. And let's take a look at the chord progression itself. The first one is E major 7. And E being the root note here. Let's take a look what else is on top. If we are just looking at this as a root note, 3 steps up, we get G sharp here, but actually also it's A flat. So the flat A. And then we have the D sharp or flat E on top here, which is our 7th. The 8th note again is E, and now we just need to find a B, which would be our 5th, and it's down here. So let's bring that up an octave. So we have E major 7th chord, major 3rd followed by minor 3rd and another major 3rd. So quickly setting these back, the B was down, and what else? I think that's it. The next one, and then before these 2 bars are finished, we are quickly playing it again. And early into the next chord, this is how you like make these Afro House piano setups a bit more interesting. And you can also use, you know, play the higher parts with the right hand a bit earlier than the left hand. This also makes your piano loop a bit more natural. So what do we have here? G flat major. Let's take a look at that. If I'm going an octave up, again, you can see we have a major 3rd. Starting here and then followed by, what is it? If I'm bringing the C up, you can see this is a major chord. This is just played an octave lower here, and then we're also playing the 6th on top. C back down. And this is our root. A flat in this case. If I'm bringing down B, it's easy to see. Minor chord. Minor 3rd followed by a major 3rd. And then everything sort of repeats octaves up. Let's take a quick look at the F and where that belongs. There you have it as the 7th. So we have 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. So it's again a minor 7th chords. Minor 3rd followed by major 3rd followed by minor 3rd. Quickly bring these back up. And then playing these quick notes here in quick succession, that's again the root note. If you want to go deeper into music theory, we have a full course, Music Theory for Melodic House, House and Techno. I'm linking to it in the description where we have much more in-depth sessions. And also in our Afro House Start to Finish Academy, Yannick Mounts, music producer and DJ, is walking you through how to get typical Afro House piano sounds and also theory, music theory background part for that style as well. Super interesting, highly recommended. This is our piano sound. Let's take a look at what we are doing with the Rhodes here. Same note setup, and we are just emphasizing on the plucky beginning of the sounds. Makes it feel a bit more organic with these sine waves here together with the piano. Solo this one. There's another so-called piano below that, but that's actually a noise layer. We're just playing the AC hum noise here and taking off everything. We want this analog feel on top of these piano sounds. Sounds crazy when you hear that solo. You're like, what? but put it in the mix and gets filtered in and out, as you can see here. So the correct definition is more noise on top of this. And going over to the next piano, which is here in the bridge at the end. Quick plucky elements, low end cut out for the most part, and combining that with the other piano sound. That's how it's winding down here. And that's also how stuff gets kept interesting over such a long time. Here's the key Zine thing. That's actually something we can look at in the beginning here, these nice Atmos. We're basically just playing the thirds up here. Major third, minor third. Our chord progression at the, core is playing here on top. Like, what was the sound, by the way? Let's quickly check that. I mean, sine wave. That's the loudest element here, and then a bit of a saw wave on top and sending that through a filter, which gets ever so slightly automated with this LFO. Just a bit of movement. Ambience layer on top of that, 2 saw waves filtered again. Source sounds almost don't matter. Here's some cleaning up of frequent, high or very resonant elements and cleaning that up in the mid side, always ducking that. And on top of that, lead Atmo. Also saw wave setup, more plucky. And if we look at the notes, dum da da dum. Da-dum, da-da-dum, da-da-dum, da-da-dum. But an Atmos sample might also do the trick. So 8th notes here. Or is it, what is it? That's fourths. Covering the octaves basically. This an octave higher. This an octave lower. This is more dreamy in the background. And this is sort of teasing our chord progression. And this Atmos sample, here's a vocal type sample out of the Afro House Sound Sample Pack. It's superb for the background. This bringing exactly the vibe that's needed for, you can almost throw that into, I think I also threw that into another project file recently discussed here, maybe the Rufus one or the, either the Rufus Du Sol Miracles remix one or the More Love one Rampa style. And here another mellow pad. saw waves. One in the middle, 4 voices on the sides, and filter goes up. But we don't need high information here. This is enough. Bright pad. All these little elements to create enough atmospherical background elements so that thing sounds full and professional. Octave lower. They're all pretty subtle, but each one has its place to fill up the frequency spectrum, especially when we're referencing to an existing track and we're like, oh, there's still something missing in that mid frequency there. That's how these things here come to life. And okay, so next look is at these plug sounds here. Let's take a look at the first one. You can use the most basic sound setups here and then filter them and give them, you know, this type of shape over time in this more mellow arrangement. Mixing going on here, mixing that so it sits well in the mix. This one is super dry. Another one behind it. It's a mixture here in the wavetable. Well, it's a saw wave, but then we threw on this no window sync thing and open that up a bit, and then you mess with the wavetable. This is also something you can automate over time to keep your Afro House setups a bit more interesting. And reverb on top of the sound, filter, EQ, that's not so important, but we are running that through the return channel through this reverb here. This one is opened up. And now the low element, more froggy, an octave lower. Okay, and all combined, the dry one, the wet one in the background, and the low one an octave lower. There you have your powerful Afro House stabs. Yeah, so let's sum up the key elements or the key things to get right here. The arrangement, as you can already see with these filter and automation setups, it's kind of taking you in this meditation trance-like state. It takes its time. It's very slow paced build-ups and filtering. You basically build up the track for 3 minutes and then you leave people in a break part for 1.5 minutes. Good luck preparing your audience as a DJ for this moment, and then back into a drop and then playing out the drops and then winding it down over time. Interesting second element here is the bass setup. We have this sub bass playing all the way through, almost only being taken out in a break part. You can hear that on headphones or good speakers, not necessarily on your phone. And then this bass donk on top. A lot of the heavy lifting of your low end is taking place through these toms. That's another takeaway here. Really the foundation for the deepness of the track, and then combined with the bass sounds. Yeah, and another takeaway from, especially from reverse engineering, is that you can chop up samples if you need some certain timing in a shaker that you don't happen to find quickly. You're just like, okay, so I'm taking these two different transient parts and I'm just going to sort of chop them here together with nice quick fades, cross fades. And then you get the transient setup that you're looking for. And yeah, and in the piano part, we are layering a bunch of elements, not too much going on here, but we have this grand piano put together with this Rhodes element for a bit more vibe, especially in those parts where we're not opening up the filters on the grand piano all the way. But we're also mixing in analog noise or noise elements for analog feelings. And if you solo it, it sounds super loud, but in the mix it works. Yeah, and another takeaway, your leads layered will be a bit more powerful. You have this one dry in the center. You have one more wet in the background. Even longer decay times on that one, and a lower one to fill up the frequency spectrum. Kind of like in other EDM subgenres as well, lots of times you will layer lead sounds. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this little walkthrough track breakdown session. It's part of the Afro House Start to Finish Academy, the project file here, if you want to take a look at this educational piece of a track yourself and take out some elements for your own music. For example, you can also pick up the Afro House Sound Pack, where a lot of the samples are from, if you're not really interested in taking a look at courses right now. If you are interested in courses, we have great start to finish sessions in this Academy product here, and music theory, piano sound design, and also how to set your vocals up so they work. We have a full-on vocal pack in this pack as well. Do me Jaja, do me Jaja, and so on. And also Percussive House sample packs linked in the description as well. The entire everything bundle from PML, great one to pick up during holiday season especially. You have absolutely insane amounts of value in there. And just as an interesting session to look at as well, go over to the Telecom Beats YouTube channel and watch that Keinemusik video. Super inspiring as well. Let's have a full playthrough and I'll talk to you again soon.